Shout out to the YouTube family. My brother is in town, and him, my husband, and my daughter had made some chili and some rice, and it was just so good. What's going on? So I had to eat first, y'all. It was so good. I loaded it into my stories. So if you want to see what that chili really looked like, honey, go right on ahead to my stories. It was so good. I said, hold up, I gotta eat first before we go live. Hey y'all, what is going on? I hope that you all having an amazing day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just dropped the video that today we're going to be talking about overcoming doubt that you hear God. We're going to jump into things in just a few minutes. But look, if this is your first time here, let me properly introduce myself. My name is Tanya S. McClurkin. I am a certified life coach and gift strategist, and I primarily focus on helping stay-at-home moms to discover their purpose and gifts and build the confidence to serve where God has gifted them to lead. Okay, and if that sounds like you are in the right place at the right time. Even if you're not a stay-at-home mom, if the message is for you, stick around. Okay, as you're coming into the room, share, 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 invite, so we can get some more people into the room and have a good conversation on tonight, y'all. I'm excited about this because this used to be one of my major stumbling blocks. And I know that this is a major stumbling block for so many people. Why? Not just because I think that that's what's going on. It's because of the conversations that I have. That so many people don't understand what hearing God is for them, you know? And so we just want to talk about it on tonight because if you cannot hear God, if you believe that you don't hear God, you can't hear him about your life, your purpose, your gifts, what he wants you to do, how to make a right decision, okay, we in trouble. But nevertheless, you don't have to know all that there is in understanding God's voice in one day, okay? It's something that I built over time, and it's something that you can build over time, okay? But nevertheless, here's what I've learned, that even in my sin, okay, even when I was out there doing what I wanted to do, God was still able to speak to me. Because how do we influence people who do not serve God, love God, to turn to God? So even in your sin, even in your confusion, even in your lack of clarity, okay, even in your lack of confidence, God can still speak to you. You have that, you have that built into you because we are who we are because of him, right? So I think we just need a little tweaking and just a little bit of knowledge and understanding around what your communication style is with God so that we can move forward with confidence. And that is what I'm looking to do on tonight. Shout out to everybody jumping in on the YouTube side of things. I am dual streaming. So if you see me looking back and forth, okay, I got two devices in front of me, and that's all that's going on, okay? We are now on weeks 4 of 8, okay? I've been doing a live mentorship. Hey. I've been doing a live mentorship for the past 4 weeks. It's an 8-week program that I decided, you know what, I'll just teach this live and I'm gonna just fill it out and see. This is the first time I've taught it live, and it's been going very well. I've been having some great responses from you all. Shout out to everybody coming inside of the 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 Academy, the free support group, and I'm super excited to move forward with you all. But nevertheless, we are on weeks 4 of 8 today, and we're going to be talking about that overcoming doubt. Okay, so shout out to everybody popping in. Hey to all 12 of you over here. Let me share this out because I haven't done that yet, and y'all just hold on for just a second, and then we're going to get right into things. Also on the YouTube side, for those of you who are just joining, I did put a link in my post. If you scroll, it's like probably a few posts down. There's a link to a folder that has the updated workbook in there as well. If you decided that you wanted to follow along, it's there for you as well. And for those of you who want access to the workbook and the replays, I put them inside of the free support group, and you can access the free support group by the link in my bio, first button, come into the group, and that is where I put everything for you to access moving forward, okay? All right, y'all. Just send it out to a few more people, and let's get into things. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and let me know if overcoming doubt of hearing God has been a barrier for you. Has it been a struggle? Okay, has it been a struggle? Let me know. All right. We're getting into things on today. I got 6 kids above my head. My husband just left to go to a basketball game with my brother, and he gave them some strict instructions, okay? Don't bother mom was basically what he said. So let's see. Let's see how well they listen. Let's see how well they listen. Okay? I didn't lock the door, so hopefully they don't come busting down here, interrupting things. Okay? But nevertheless, we are on weeks 4 of 8. Okay? Weeks 1, this is an unlock process. This is an unlock system. Okay? So we are following an acronym 𝗚nlocked. Okay, so week 1 we cover understanding your gap. Okay, we all have a gap. It's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to hang your head low about. We all have a gap that we need God to help us fill, that we need God to help us bridge, so that we can move from where we are to where He desires for us to be, with flow and with ease. Okay, so we covered what is your gap. Okay, then from there we moved over to the end, which was notice signs that you're ready for change. How many of you know that you've got to recognize, I want more than this? You've got to recognize, I want more than this gap, okay? Because you have a gap doesn't mean that you have to stay in that gap or keep living life from that gap. When do you realize that you're starting to notice that I'm ready for change? I want something more than this, because you realize you were given more and made for more, okay? So that was the end. Then we moved to the L, which was lead with the heart of God. We asked ourselves a question last week when we covered the L, which was, who has your heart? Okay? Who has your heart? Because the heart is the center of your will. The heart influences your thoughts, your actions, and your decisions. Okay? So we had to ask ourselves last week, who has my heart? Because even though sometimes we believe in God, we serve God, or we do all the things that represent a relationship with God, okay? We may go to church, we may read the Bible, we may meditate, we may pray, okay? We may do all of those things. That doesn't always mean that God is the one influencing all of my thoughts, all of my actions, all of my decisions. So we had to ask ourselves that last week and analyze that, okay? That's important. Who has my heart? And it doesn't mean that because God has your heart today, that He will have your heart tomorrow, okay? It depends. You need to be the one in control of that, assessing that around the clock, okay? This is more than just, I believe in God, I love God, okay, or I do all the things that represent a relationship with Him. Some of y'all, including myself, sometimes we fall short because, well, we're human. And sometimes when we fall short, we stay in that fallen state, sometimes a little bit longer than God would, like us to. And so, excuse me, y'all. And so we have to learn how to regularly assess who has my heart. Another way to ask that question is, who has my influence? Okay? From day to day, that's a question that you can assess, especially if this is new. If this is a new change or a new transition for you. Okay? Don't think that just because you turned your heart to God once, that we don't have to do it every day. We've got to choose God, His will, and His way every day. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot being presented to us. There's a lot being put in front of us. There's a choice we have to choose every single day. Okay? Every moment of the day. So don't get tired of giving your heart to God or assessing, does God have my heart or influence over my thoughts, my actions, and my decisions. So now this week we have moved over to the O in this unlock process, okay? Now we're going to be talking about overcoming doubt of hearing God. Just a quick little background story so this can make a little bit more sense to those who are just joining in or just meeting me or just understanding the Her Gifts Unlocked brand. Her Gifts Unlocked wasn't just about helping you to identify what your gifts were. Her Gifts Unlocked was truly about helping women unlock themselves that get in the way of releasing those gifts, okay? So my goal is to help you unlock something within you that will then allow you to freely release those gifts that God has placed within you, okay? When you're locked up inside, we hold hostage to the things that God has given us to do and say. When you're locked up in the way that you think, when you're locked up in your influence or who you hang with, when you're locked up in the way that you represent yourself or your life, right? There are certain things that we just don't do in that state. And so this program or mentorship is designed to help you unlock or understand some things about you to get aligned with who God is and who He says that you are, and the things that He has for you, and the path that He wants you to pursue, so that we can stop resisting it and then walk in it with faith and flow and ease. Okay, that's what this is all about. We're going to get to discovering those gifts in just another week or two. Okay, we're going to get there, but we've got to work on the whole person, not just the part that God has given us to do, not just the thing we do, but the you that does the thing is very important. Sometimes we give all the attention and all the action to, ooh, look what I made, or look what I created, or look where I'm gifted, look how good I am at this. But there's something in you sometimes, something in us sometimes that we kind of bypass or overlook. The goal isn't just to be good at what you do. The goal is to be effective with what I do. And the only way to be effective with what I do is to have the right effect. And that effect, that right effect, only comes from God. Okay? There's a right effect and there's a wrong effect. Okay? And so that's what this is all about. Understanding the whole person that's pursuing the journey, not just the thing that I do on the journey. If that makes a little bit more sense. Shout out to everybody jumping into the room. I appreciate you for being here. Let's turn up this volume. Let's make sure our volume is up. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get. Let's go ahead and get into things. If you don't have the workbook, again, it is pinned a couple of posts down on YouTube in the community section, and for everybody else, it's in the Her Gifts Unlocked Academy. Okay, free support group. You can go to www.𝗓gifts.unlocked.com, first button, and come inside the group and make sure you have access to all the replays and the workbook. All right. So this week we are in the embrace section. Okay, know, embrace, yield, and serve is how this mentorship is set up into 4 keys. Okay, know, embrace, yield, and serve. Know, embrace, yield, and serve. And so we are in the embrace, key of this mentorship, and we are in phase 4, which is the receiving phase. Okay, week 1 we were in the healing phase, then we moved to the preparing renewing phase, and then we moved into the preparing phase last week. This week we are in the receiving phase. Okay, we're looking to start receiving some things from God, some things that we need for the journey, some things that we need to get aligned, some things that we need to be put in position and ready to move forward with what God has for you and I. Okay, here's how I define receiving. It's the process of coming into the possession of, permitting or accepting that which is given and or spoken to you. Okay, how many of you right now know that God has said some things to you in the past? Oh no, I do not speak Spanish. I do not speak Spanish whatsoever. So I do apologize about that. And y'all, if y'all see me getting close, it is really because the words on YouTube are just small. Okay, I really wish there was a way to like make them bigger, like I can see over here. So I have to lean in. I have to lean in just to see what you all are saying. Okay, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate you so much. So let's get into it. So don't think I'm ignoring y'all. I am not ignoring you. It's just really hard to see. Okay, and I do wear glasses. Over here I got on some fake glasses, but over here I really do wear glasses in real life. But I don't need them to see here just sometimes for a distance. Shout out to 𝗧, thank you so much for all the likes. Okay. Every week we do a foundational scripture principle as well. So here we go. For it is not you who speak, but it is the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. That's Matthew 10:20 in the KJV. And our principle for this week is God speaks through you, not to you. Okay? He speaks through you. And we're going to talk about how sometimes that can be a conflict for some of you all who just don't understand, well, how is God speaking to me? Now, I know that's language that we use. Well, how is God speaking to me? Okay? But really, it's coming through you. God doesn't speak to you like I'm speaking to you right now. Okay? Okay, so don't get caught up in words. Okay? Yes, absolutely. So this week, let's learn what is hearing, understand your communication style with God, and begin building confidence with the way you hear God. Because how many of you know the way you hear God, it's not necessarily the way I hear God or the next person. Okay, I have my own communication style. I can't tell you how many communication styles there are. Okay, but I just know that there are different styles that God speaks to you based upon, number one, where you are, based upon the knowledge and understanding that you have. He's not going to speak over you or above you. He's not going to speak in ways that you can't comprehend. God's always going to meet you where you are. That's number one. That's the first thing I had to understand. That I was looking at other people and understanding, well, how do they hear God? I want to hear God like that, but I don't know in which way God speaks to them. And it seemed like I had to be in some higher place, or I had to be somebody that had a little bit more knowledge or understanding, or maybe some credentials for God to speak to me like that. And that wasn't the case. Okay, I wasn't counted out because I didn't have some type of higher level position in the church or wherever you come from, right? I wasn't counted out. I just didn't understand. Okay, and this is why God tells us in all that get understanding, because when you lack understanding, there's just certain things that we can't do and that we won't do because we lack the understanding that makes us move or make us take a specific action. But I had to understand that there are different communication styles. And I hope that by the end of the day, you can understand or identify what your style is, so that understanding God or hearing God will no longer be a barrier for you. Thank you so much for the daily heart me. I appreciate you so much. All right, let's get into this. I'm going to give you 10 reasons why someone lacks confidence in hearing God, okay? Here are some things that you may be able to identify with. And I challenge you that if you hear something that is you, go ahead and write it down so we can deal with it, because God don't put you in a room or put somebody before you or put information, okay, in front of you for you to continue moving in lack of clarity or confusion, okay? If you are here hanging out, there is something that God wants to say. So we want to even practice hearing God while we're in this live, okay? And one of the actions that you're going to take is writing something down that He's saying to you, that is for you, okay? So we don't have to practice later. We can practice right now while we're together. Okay. All right. 10 reasons why one may lack confidence in hearing God. You may lack knowledge of God's voice. You may feel how God speaks to you. Excuse me. They don't know how God speaks or through His word, His spirit, peace, or circumstances, okay? Lack of knowledge of God's voice. If you feel like God's voice is supposed to be like audible, that's one of the things that some people like to fight about. But I have learned, and y'all tell me if you've ever heard it, but in all of my experience, in all of my growing up in the faith-based setting, I've never heard God's voice like I hear all of you, or like I hear someone I know. Okay? I had to throw that out because I grew up in a church, and I thought when I was a little bit younger that I was going to hear God like, Tanya, now you know better than that. Right? It may sound a little strange, but how many of you ever heard someone say anything about an audible voice? Am I alone? She said, no, I haven't either. Okay, I'm not alone. All right, I'm glad that I got at least one cheerleader. Have anybody ever heard God speak to you like the way you hear your friends or your family? I know there's always one special person in the world that will always be different, and maybe you're that special person. But I've never experienced that whatsoever. Okay, it wasn't an audible voice. Let's keep moving forward. Doubt and unbelief can be a barrier as to why you struggle hearing God. Okay, you're questioning whether or not God speaks to you personally. Okay, doubt and unbelief. First of all, you got to believe I do hear God, or God does speak to me, right? We've got to get in alignment with the truth first, because doubt and unbelief will do what doubt and unbelief comes to do every time. Okay, steal the truth and deceive you every time. Fear of being wrong. Some of us do not believe we hear God, or we shy away from trying to hear God because, well, we don't want to make a wrong choice. Is that you? You don't want to make a wrong choice. You don't want to be wrong. You don't want to say, God told me, and then you go do something and put yourself in a predicament. Okay? Inconsistent relationship with God can also be a barrier. Okay? Just because you have an inconsistent relationship with God, or a growing relationship that may be the reason it's inconsistent, doesn't mean that He cannot speak to you. Okay? But it may be your reasoning why you believe that He doesn't speak to you. Okay? Like I said at the beginning of the slide, if that is a good enough reason for God not to reach you, then how do we reach the ones that don't believe in God? How do we reach the ones that don't believe that there is a God. How does God speak to those people that they may turn their hearts to God and build a new belief, right? So even in my sin, even when I was doing my own thing, right? God was still able to reach me because guess what? He's in me. He's in me. So we got to change our thought process around who God speaks to. He doesn't pick and choose. Okay, write it down. God does not pick and choose. I'm one of the ones he speaks to. He does speak to me. Distractions and busyness can also be a barrier as to why you believe that you don't hear God or why you keep missing God. You got so much going on. Okay, it's not that he doesn't speak to you. It's just that you really haven't made time to sit down and receive. Sometimes when we go to communicate, we go to tell God all about what we want, our desires, or what's going wrong. But how many times do you literally sit down just to receive? Okay. Disobedience. This is a daily practice. Okay, this is a daily practice. Sometimes constantly doing what we want to do can always be a good reason or a barrier at its best that we continue to miss God. Okay? Okay? I'm not perfect. I know none of us are. But I will tell you in my experience that disobedience is an open door to missing God all the time or often, very often. Okay? We're talking about 10 reasons why one may lack confidence in their ability to hear God. These may not be all you, but pick the ones that you can relate to. Another reason can be you expect God speaking to you to be some dramatic encounter. Some dramatic encounter. Okay? No, it can be very subtle. It can be while you sitting in your room. It can be while you're washing dishes. It can be while you're driving to the grocery store. There's no time that's limited from God or omit from God speaking to you. You can be anywhere doing anything, right? It doesn't have to be a dramatic encounter. Okay? Most of the time, it's not a dramatic encounter. Think about your day. How many days, most of us, especially the stay-at-home moms who are on here, the mothers who are on here, we have a lot of days that look alike, okay? We do a lot of the same things from day to day. So if it had to be a dramatic encounter, boy, I tell you, I'd be missing God left and right because I don't really do much. I don't really do much. I'm pretty much a homebody for the most part. Okay? So just know I can be anywhere doing anything for God to reach me or to speak to me. All right. You lack faith in your ability to hear. We kind of covered that already just from me talking through some of those things. Okay. But you've got to trust that he speaks directly to you. A few more that you can write down. You rely too much on logic versus faith. Some of us are missing God and his voice and what he's saying because it logically don't make sense to you. You can't figure out why doing a thing that you don't want to do or doing a thing that makes you stretch yourself or doing a thing that you wouldn't normally choose for yourself. Why would I do that? Why would I put myself in that situation? When God is trying to do something in you, right? He's trying to do something for you by putting you in certain areas or putting you in new territory that's going to stretch you or put you before new people. But to you, logically, it don't make sense to do a certain thing. So now you start telling yourself that couldn't be God. Or you tell yourself that that's just you making stuff up in your head. Like we start to give reasons as to why it could not be God. This is not God. Right? So be careful with comparing it to logic, because oftentimes when God asks you to do something to you and your humanness and me and my humanness, it's not gonna make sense. It's not gonna make. We gotta trust what God is doing in us because He knows the greater plan that He created us for. So oftentimes it's not gonna make sense. Okay, but just because it don't make sense logically doesn't mean that it's not God. Okay. Some of you may feel like you lack spiritual mentorship or guidance, okay? You do not have to have a pastor, a counselor, or someone in maybe like some type of leader, right? You don't have to have that for God to speak to you. It's nice to have that because we do need guidance, right? But you don't have to have that. He can speak to you right where you are, okay? You don't have to feel privileged to hear from God. Okay? Just because someone look like they got their life together more than you do doesn't mean that God speaks to them more than they speak to you. No. We be making stuff up. We be creating stuff in our own head. But that's not how God operates. Okay? He speaks to you in a way that you can understand, on the level of understanding that you have, or the level of communication or relationship that you have with him. Okay? And as that builds and grows, your relationship builds and grows, your communication style with God can also change, because then he's able to speak to you and show you things in bigger ways or more creative ways that you now understand because of growth. Okay? So we're going to throw that out the window that, well, I don't have my life together, or, why would God, speak to me? I've been doing this and I've been doing that. No, we're gonna throw that out the window. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me put this charger on here because we ain't got no time for that. There we go. I saw that light get dark. Right? And so we want to put yourself on your own playing field. There's no comparison. It's not you versus the other person. It's me, where I am, and God meeting me there. That's it. Okay? So take some of those reasons and assess them. What have I been thinking? Okay? And what have I been saying that could possibly have been a barrier to me either hearing God, believing that he speaks to me, okay? Or receiving something from God. So let's talk about thought barriers and language barriers, okay? On your paper, if you're writing, and I hope that you are, I want you to literally write, what have I been thinking or saying? One of the things I used to think or say was, I used to think, how does God speak? Okay, I didn't think that he spoke to me. I thought, when I was younger, I thought I had to be in a higher position. I thought I had to maybe be one of the elders, or one of the missionaries, or one of the people who were in the front. Okay, or I thought I had to be super knowledgeable of the word and know so much about the Bible for God to speak to me. This is real. This is what I thought when I was younger. Okay, and because I thought that, it created that belief. Thoughts are creating beliefs. Okay, I believe I wasn't one of the ones worthy enough to hear from God, or maybe I was too young. Okay, maybe he spoke to the adults. Okay, maybe he spoke to the older ones, right? Because I always heard people saying things like, here's what God is saying. And I felt like I was never in that position to tell somebody else what God was saying. Never. Okay. Here's what God is saying to me. I'm like, well, I don't feel like I could tell you even nothing about what God was saying to me. And sometimes that lack of understanding can turn off something in you. You believe that he don't speak to you, so there's something in you that it's like the receptors inside of you just block it out, because that belief does not receive that thought that God speaks to you. But we're going to open that thing back up by doing what? Creating a new belief. Whether or not today you feel like he's been speaking to you, I want you to receive, right, that he does speak to me. But he speaks to me on a level that I understand. He meets me where I am, okay? And I believe that after today, your understanding of how he speaks to you is going to shift. It is going to change. Next, I want you to write down what you've been saying out loud. Why am I having you to do this? I'm having you to do this so that you can finally see on paper what's really been going on. Sometimes we just try to figure out too much in our head. We got too many thoughts to be trying to figure it out in our head. We got to spill it. We got to do a heart dump. We got to do a brain dump. And we need to see all of the things that we've been saying, all of the things that we've been creating in our head, all of the beliefs that we have actually been living our life by. We're living our life by these beliefs. So what have you been saying out loud? Next, this was a game changer for me as well. Okay? For those of you who believe or have ever said, I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's God, I'm not sure if I'm creating something in my head, right? Here's what I want you to, 3 questions I want you to answer today. Number 1, what is being said? Okay? Whether or not you say, what is God saying? You might not use the language, what is God saying to me? But I just want you to write down what is being said. Like, what do I hear? Even if you just call it a voice. Okay, that's fine. What is being said? Whether it's challenging you, okay, or you feel like it's causing you to do something that is not like God. I just want you to write down whatever you are hearing. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I want you to answer, what is the voice asking you to do? What is the voice asking you to do? Okay, why is this important? Shout out to everybody jumping into the room. I appreciate you for being here. Okay, why is this important? Okay, we're talking about 3 questions for you to ask yourself so that you can start to understand how you hear God. Okay, we're gaining clarity of our relationship, our communication style with God. Thank you for the daily heart meet. Okay, what is the voice asking you to do? Because some of y'all feel like this couldn't be God, or I know it's just me making stuff up in my head, or you back out, or you look for a way out because you don't want to do what you're hearing, hearing that's being asked of you. So what are you being asked to do? What are you being asked to say? What action are you being asked to take? That's question number 2. The final question is going to tell us what we need to know, which is going to be what is the outcome of pursuing that action? Okay? So what is the voice asking you to do or say? Or what action is it asking you to take? And then what is the outcome of pursuing that action? Here's where it changed for me. Okay? Number 1, I had to learn that it wasn't the Spirit of God that speaks, the spirit of the enemy, and the spirit of Tanya. No. For those of you who struggle, is it me? Is it God? Is it me? Is it this or that? Remove yourself. I had to learn how to remove myself and teach myself that I am the receiver of said voice. I'm not a choice in who's speaking. Okay? I'm the one who's receiving what's being said. Now I get to determine by answering what is that action asking me, or what is the outcome of pursuing that action. That's going to tell me who's really speaking, for those of you who are really confused. Because I promise you that the spirit of the enemy is not going to ask you to do something that's actually going to elevate your life, challenge you to be a better person, put you in a higher position, help you to help more people. It is not. And sometimes we don't believe that is God because there's fear in doing the thing that we're being challenged to do. So we tell ourselves it's not God. Sometimes we just tell ourselves that it's not God. Okay? We've got to learn the difference, and so that we can get in alignment, so that we can move forward. Because if you believe that God doesn't speak to you, if there's doubt that you hear God, guess what else you cannot hear God about? Your purpose, your gifts, your calling, your assignment, what you're here to do. You can't hear about none of that either. So we don't want to pick and choose when we hear God either, because of fear of being challenged or stretched. So can we agree that on today, the first barrier that we're going to tear down is God doesn't pick and choose who he speaks to. He speaks to me. And he speaks to me on a level that I'm living, and the level of knowledge and understanding that I have, that he meets me where I am. He doesn't speak above me. Okay? He doesn't speak in languages or in ways or in visuals that I cannot understand. That God is realistic, and that God doesn't want to cause confusion, because he's not the author of confusion. He's always trying to help you to get to the truth. That's the first barrier. He does not pick and choose who he speaks to. That even in my sin, even when I wasn't ready to live a life for God, that he still was speaking to me, because how else was I able to turn my life over to him if there wasn't some type of influence over my life from God? Okay? So even when you feel like I don't have a relationship, even when you feel like I'm new to this, okay, even when you feel like I don't know anything about the word, you don't need any of those things yet, but you don't need any of those things for him to speak to you. Okay, his influence all over your life is going to cause you to gain more interest in those things and build it all up over time. Over time. Okay, over time. I promise you, every single day, God wants to say something to you every single day. That it's not just sometimes. God has so much for you. He's always trying to get more to you. There's something that God is saying to us all every day. Every day. Because of who we are actually, who he knows that we are because he created us to be. There's so much restoring that is also happening. So God is always speaking because we've got a lot of work to do to get back to the truth. We got a lot of work to do to get on the path that he has us. We had a lot of work to do to get to what he has for us so we can stop saying things like, what God has for me is for me and actually obtain it. Yeah, I want to actually obtain it. I don't want to just know it's for me and never have it. Okay? So all of this is connected to hearing God. Because the only way that you're going to make a move, okay, and a right move, okay, because we out here making moves without God. The only way that you're going to make a right move that's going to move your life forward, to help you get closer to the life you love, to help you to get closer to that success that you see for yourself, to help you to actually start crossing off things in your vision and actually seeing things come to reality. The only way that we get to do those things is knowing that we hear God and trusting what we hear to take some type of step. So overcoming doubt that we hear God is a must to live this life. And it's definitely a must to fulfill his purpose and his plans for your life. After today, if you connected to me, I don't ever want to hear again, if you were in this live, that God doesn't speak to me. After this, if you're new, I understand. But if we are together and you're hearing me now, God not speaking to you is out. He speaks to me where I am on my level of knowledge and understanding. And I also receive from God with that same level of knowledge and understanding. See, let me give you an example. I'm a very curious person. My mind runs wild. Me and God, we were talking about all kinds of stuff. I always want to know more. Because if he was human, he'd be like, child, chill. I need a break. But he ain't human. Okay? And so I can see things in visuals and in graphs and in all type of like wild pictures. God will show me something. And now we got tools like Canva, right? Stuff like that. I'll be like, oh, let me get my computer. I got to hurry up and create what I saw while I can see it. I'll be gone. Because I love visuals. And that's why one of these days y'all going to see me with a whiteboard so I can stand up and really, really start drawing some things. However, he don't do that for everybody. That will be chaotic for somebody. That would be too much for somebody. It's just right for me. He can show me a flash or something, and I see it could be a 10-year vision in a snap. Wow. I'll get to talking with my husband. I'm like, you're not going to believe what God just showed me. He'd be like, what? And we get to talking. Right? But just because that may not be your experience, it don't mean that God's not talking. And that's what we want to kind of dismiss and just eliminate on today. I want you to really start learning what your communication style is. So let's move forward in the next page. If you're in your workbook, it's going to be on the next section, learning my communication style. Okay? Learning my communication style. Here are some communication styles that I have listed for you. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the taps. It is so appreciated, y'all. I know sometimes when you don't go live, every day or several times a week, I usually try to do at least two, that the algorithm be algorithming, okay? Okay, you got to get people back in here and back in the loop. I get it, but I'm not even worried about it today, okay? Learning your communication style. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 styles listed for you. Number 1, an internal thought, okay? Having a silent thought and or hearing a voice in your voice, hearing it in your voice. Sometimes you think it's not God because you hear your actual tone of voice talking on the inside, which is why a lot of people believe it's them. Okay? A lot of people believe it couldn't be me because I hear me. You don't know what God sounds like. I don't know what God sounds like. I don't know if God has a particular sound. So we got to eliminate that you got to hear some type of voice. And so it's normal if you hear a response or an instruction or some type of insight in your voice. How many of you know that you can't create thoughts on your own? Somebody believes that they can, but you are not the creator of thoughts. You are a receiver. So even if you are receiving thoughts in your own mind and you hear the instruction or the insight or whatever in your own voice, it doesn't mean that it's you. It's not you. Okay? You may hear something that has some fun examples in here. You may hear something like, just start the YouTube channel. Okay? Just start with what you know. Just use what you have. Figure out the rest later. Girl, go record them videos. Okay? It can be as simple as that. It don't have to be some type of grand instruction for 20 and 30 years. And it don't have to be that. God's speaking to you so he can get you to do something now. Right? Like right now, today. He don't want you to wait until tomorrow. There's something he wants you to do now. Okay? And it can be as simple as picking up your pen and taking notes, because after this live, he's going to add to what you write down or add to what's been said. Okay? Number 2, we just said cover an internal thought. How about a gut feeling? I know we can relate to this, right? A gut feeling, okay? Experiencing feelings of maybe like intuition, a sense of knowing, right? Some type of instinct. It can be a feeling of unease. Or warning, right? All of that can come through a gut feeling, okay? What about a mental picture or a quick flash, right? This happens to me often. Y'all can let me know if you can relate to any of these as well, or maybe what your communication styles are. A mental picture or a quick flash, okay? Seeing a vision or a particular picture, okay? It can be God flashing a logo. Okay, I want to keep things realistic right now. It could be God flashing a logo. Okay, it could be you seeing yourself filming something. Okay, it can be you seeing yourself having success. It can be any of these things. Okay, a mental picture or a quick flash. And if you are someone who maybe feel like I can't see a picture and then go like draw it or whatever, you don't have to do all that. Get to writing what you saw. Try to describe what you saw. Okay. Do your best to describe what you saw. At this point, when I feel like I couldn't hear God, when that was what I believed about myself years ago, it wasn't a big deal. But now, if I feel like I didn't move fast enough or I forgot what God said because I didn't grab my phone or I didn't grab a pen or whatever, I'd be so upset. Now it upsets me. I'd be so upset. I do now at this point in my life. I thank you for the daily heart me. I do not like to miss what God is saying. Okay, at this point, I understand it's so important. It's so crucial to what the life I'm living, or He's trying to build on to some type of something I've started or some type of understanding that I have, or He's trying to clear up confusion. I can't stand to miss what God is saying. But I always ask, I'll be like, Lord, please bring it back. Most of the time He does. Okay? Most of the times that He does. Why it happens like that, I'm not sure. I'm like, God, you know I ain't had no pen. You know I ain't had no pen. You know I ain't had no pen. Okay? You know I couldn't get my he'd be like, grab your phone and use your voice notes. Thank you so much for the gifts. Okay? I'll be laughing now. I'll be trying to have a good time because I believe that God is not all serious either. Like, where do you think I get the personality from? Okay, me and God, we be laughing, we be joking. I'm still myself. I don't like go to God like all shy and like I'm unworthy. I don't approach it that way, right? He created us in His image. Talk about it. Help me teach the people. Help me teach the people up in here, okay? Created in it, all in it, in His image. Okay, so we're talking about understanding your communication style. God can speak to you through an internal thought, a gut feeling, a mental picture, or a quick flash, okay? Here's one that I had to learn was God. This was me. I don't know about you. I started answering stuff out loud. I would ask a question. I would talk through it out loud and lead myself to an answer out loud. That's what I thought I was doing. I thought I was leading myself to an answer out loud. And my kids used to be like, Mom, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Now they understand. They don't ask me that anymore. They know exactly what's going on because I explained to them. I'm talking to God, just trying to get to some answers. But growing up, I was taught, and I know you probably were too, that speaking to yourself is crazy. Right? Right. That speaking to yourself is crazy. That's what did anybody else hear that growing up? Don't talk to yourself. You crazy. And they said, don't talk to yourself I'm crazy, but if you start answering yourself, you was really crazy. Right? Man, we got a lot of undoing to do. Oh Lord. And so when I started doing that, I kind of was like uncomfortable. Like, did you just answer yourself? Did you just answer yourself? And so I had to learn. God had to walk me through that because I was uncomfortable because of what I had been taught. Like, I didn't want to, no, you crazy. Like, I had to dump that out. I had to dump that out. So they say, but it is not true. At this point, I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly because God has not only said so much, but led me to so much. And I had to realize that God was one of my communication styles is I ask a question. Okay? God will give me a question to ask. I'll ask it out loud and I'll start to talk as if someone's in the room. I used to not want to share this either, but I'm free now. And so I used to talk like somebody was in the room. We used to talk like a real conversation, like not like a prayer, like a conversation just like this. And then when the answer would come or clarity would come, I would say that out loud, and then I would get so excited and then go write it down. And it just kept happening over and over again, like over and over and over before I realized, okay, this has become normal. Then I had to really help myself, or God helped me to attach to the belief that just because it's happened over and over again, you're not crazy. Like, this is how we communicate. I had to realize, oh, this is how we kick it. This is how we kick it. I'm not crazy. I'm talking with God. And this is just what it looks like when it's out loud or when it happens to be public or in front of people. I used to be uncomfortable. I'd be walking around my house. I'd be anywhere. I don't know why he like talking in the bathroom. I don't know why. I'd be like, I got to get out of here and go. Because I'm like, God, now you funny. Because now I ain't got no pen and I ain't got no voice notes. And I'd be having this like repeated in my head over. And I'd be like, oh man, that'd be a bomb live. Oh my goodness. I got to hurry up and get out of here. I ain't even done, but we about to be done because I got to go write this down. Good evening. How are you? Thank you so much for being in the room. He said that's the meeting place. Let me see. Anybody over here? Tell me where God be speaking to you at, or where you maybe have had conversations. You know what I mean? Because I'd be like, this is getting out of hand, Lord. Not having my handy dandy tools so I can write down what you're saying, or is it just for maybe it's just for me and him. But I'd be like, oh gosh, I just be repeating in my head. I'm not even lying. I don't know if it's just being a creator, being a coach. I will have a whole live stream, a whole mentorship, a whole Zoom session in the bathroom. And I'd be like, And don't you love the moments where God speaks to you and then he says some good stuff and you can't say it twice? And then you go remixing, trying to remember. I'm like, dang, this don't sound the same. Don't feel as good. He speaks to me on my walks, in my dreams, and in my head. Yeah, okay, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. My brother is a dreamer. He was just telling me about some wild stuff. Shout out to the dreamers. Shout out to the dreamers, because one thing about me, I'm gonna forget a dream. I'm gonna have me a good dream. Wake up, can't tell you nothing. Okay, can't tell you nothing. Okay, you don't remember, it's just for you and him. Okay. I'm gonna receive that then. I ain't gonna lie. I still be trying to jet. I still be trying to recite it and jet to that phone. I'm working on that. I'll be working on it. The dreams be scary sometimes when it comes to fruition. You know, and I believe that if you're a dreamer, if that's your communication style, that whatever God built in you can handle it. Can handle it. I believe that. I believe that there's something in you that can handle it, or there's something in you that He wants to develop that can handle it. Yeah, because there be some people having some wild dreams, and if you got to be one of the ones to tell the people what you saw, that can be uncomfortable, especially maybe if you're new to it, or if you're still building your relationship, or if you're still building, your faith in God to speak or do things. It can be, but I still believe that if He made you a dreamer to receive information from Him through dreams, that you have some type of built-in mechanism that can handle it. He speaks to you. Okay, we're going to say, look, we got another dreamer in the room. I'm not one of the dreamers. I am not one of the dreamers at all. God, no. Look, he know I'm gonna forget, so he like, I can't get her no dreams. I didn't build that in her. Okay. The last one that I have here, and if you're just jumping in the room, we're talking about communication styles, different ways that you may receive from God. We talked about an internal thought, a gut feeling, a mental picture, or a quick flash, answering yourself or speaking to yourself out loud. And then the last one I have here is a physical image, or an event. Let me explain. Okay. So physically seeing something illustrated in person. Okay. Maybe you were given confirmation at an event, seeing someone do what God is calling you to do, or maybe you saw someone recording somewhere, or saw someone. It can be. Oh Lord, I put here. Yeah, I like to be a little funny sometimes. So the examples I put in these workbooks, I be laughing at myself sometimes. You saw someone recording maybe at a Panera Bread, okay, or you saw someone recording or dancing, doing a TikTok, and experienced a confirming feeling, okay. We're talking about an event or a physical image. So if it's an event, okay, it don't have to be like a concert, but an event is simply when something happens. That's an event, okay. So if something happens, you see something happen, and God confirms to you what you're supposed to do through what you see or a place that you're at, that's also a communication style. Okay? He can speak to you through seeing it happen in other people's lives. He's always showing something to you happening through somebody else. He's always showing you or confirming something to you through something happening. Okay? That's a communication style. It can be a car driving down the street that hit their brakes, and boom, God says, now's the time, right? I can't explain why I do it like that, but it's a communication style. And I don't want anyone to reject these as communication styles, because if it's always happening and you reject it as a communication style, you're cutting off your communication. You're cutting off an opportunity to receive from God, and then you're cutting off the opportunity to take an action that could change something in your life or the lives of others. If there's a different communication style that you have, drop it in the chat. These are not necessarily limited to. These are just 5 strong communication styles that I wanted to bring to you today. So saw you on, and I wanted to support. And I appreciate you, Tamisha. Thank you so much for coming in and adding your feedback. I appreciate you so much. What's going on, Angel C in the building? TikTok ain't, or YouTube ain't got no little claps in their chairs. At least I ain't got access to none yet. If they do have it, I'm new to the family over on YouTube. So if they got all that, I don't know where's that. Definitely. Okay, so what we're talking about today is overcoming doubt that you hear God. Okay, we talked about some reasons that create doubt or that create barriers from you hearing God, or creating beliefs around that you don't hear God. Okay, we done tore some stuff down today and helped you to create some new beliefs. Okay, and then we went in talking about communication styles, some different ways that you possibly hear God. Okay, and if you have the workbook, these are in the workbook. If you want to know where the workbook is, on YouTube, www.𝗧ransforming.com. First button, come inside of the free support group. I have all of the replays and the workbook pinned inside of the group. And for those of you on TikTok, same thing, or first link in my bio, come into the free support group. And guess what? You can have access to week 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And then we still got 4 weeks to go. Okay? We got to get through. This be the part that people are ready to get to. Okay, tell me how to discover my gifts. Okay, tell me how to show up with my gifts. Okay, tell me what I can create with my gifts. Okay, help me activate my gifts. I promise you, we are getting there. But this right here, there's plenty of people who can already help you to do that. I'm here to help you to unlock you. You. Her gifts unlock is about you. You're the her. And if you're a him, you the him. I ain't gotta his gifts unlock. But the message, you get it. Okay? We got to do some groundwork first so that we don't just get to creating and get into doing things without God. See, there's a specific thing that he wants us to do, but more importantly, he wants us to do it in his nature, character, and in his spirit. And we can't do that if we don't know what our gap is. We talked about week 1, understanding your gap. Number 2, we talked about noticing signs you're ready for change. And then last week, we talked about leading with the heart of God. Okay, we asked ourselves, who even has your heart? What are you leading with? What's influencing your thoughts, actions, and decisions? Okay? There was some groundwork that we got to do. It ain't the fun work. It's the necessary work. But I promise you, if you're moving through this and you are doing the work, when you get to the end, you're not going to be one of the ones that are just showing up, serving, giving some, just creating and doing it based upon pure ability. We can all do it based upon pure ability just because we've been given ability to do. But I don't want to do that. I want to do it with ability and effectiveness. I want to have the God effect. Okay? And so we want to, give me 1 second here. We want to go through each step. Next week, we are going to move into the 𝗧. This is going to be real fun. The 𝗧, connecting with purpose. Okay? Next week, we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of purpose. Okay? Purpose is more than just your gifts. Okay? I'm going to give you 4 pillars. We're going to be talking about, number 1, the foundation. Number 2, God's intention. Number 3, man's position, meaning mankind. And then 4, your contribution. We'll get to contribution. Everybody want to know, well, how can I contribute to the world and others? How do I show up? We're going to get there. But there's some other stuff you got to make sure that you got with you when you begin to contribute, when you begin to show up, when you begin to serve, okay? So we're going to cover those 4 pillars next week. And I am very excited about next week, okay? I'm excited about it all. But these 4 pillars changed my life. And God gave me these 4 pillars because I began to ask, what is purpose? Because people associate their assignment, their calling, what they're supposed to do, their gifts, they associate that being the sum total of purpose, right? But God said, even though that's a part, that's not the whole part, and he gave me some other parts that I'm going to bring to you next week, okay? We are moving through this unlock process. We covered the N, the U, the N, the L, the O on today, and next week we are covering the 𝗧, and then we will then move on to K, know your unique gifts. For those who want to know, well, when did we start talking about gifts? Okay, 2 more weeks. And then E, we're going to start exploring your ideal community. Who is it that God is calling you to lead and serve? Okay, and then D, the fun part. We're going to develop your digital product. so that you have something to show up and serve with. You have a tool to serve with. So that is where we're headed. For those of you who want to know what else does this unlock process have to offer, that is what we are going to be covering in the upcoming weeks. Let me know if anyone has any questions or any thoughts, okay, or any barriers around overcoming doubt of hearing God. Also, if there's anyone in the room who wants to let me know what they've gained, or if they have new insight, if God has brought clarity somewhere, or deeper understanding somewhere, or if you understand your communication style a little better after this. Yeah. What's going on? How are you? Thank you so much for being in the room. Sister Digital. Hey. Yes. So, let me see here on YouTube. These comments are so small. Okay. Shout out to everybody liking the live. Thank you so much for doing that. I know that's very key and very important in the YouTube world. So shout out to you all. Yeah, I appreciate you for being here. I'm learning these pictures too. I know who I'm talking to. I know who it is. But yes, so other than that, that is what we are going to be doing and be working on. So I'm excited to get to the end. I know we got to move through the groundwork, but I'm excited to start really helping you to show up and understand who you're speaking to and creating your product so that you can start serving your community in a more grand way. Okay. Yes, I'm very excited about that, because I promise you, this isn't about just being good at what you do. There's a lot of people who are good at what they do, and they're still suffering on the inside, because it's amazing to me. Everybody doesn't believe in them like they believe in what they can create. Isn't this weird when you're the one who created it? Is it just me? I feel like this is a little strange. But I also understand that some things have just been taught. We understand things a certain way, and we just got to be willing to unlearn some things, okay? Because I'm not here to just give all the credit to what I created. Like, hey, everybody, look at what I do, look what I do. And then I'm behind the scenes, I don't feel worthy. I'm beating myself down. I'm belittling myself. And then I come back and show you or offer to you what I created. I'm like, girl, you created it. God put that in you to create. You do realize this, right? And so now we have to realize it's not just about the thing I do, but the you who do the thing. Me and my gifts, we a package deal. We showing up together, okay? And we coming hard, doing what God has called us to do, okay? So if you're excited about that, definitely make sure that you connect with me. Make sure that that you're following, and turn on your post notifications so you know when I go live, as well as knowing when I am posting. And if you really want to take a next step, and if you really want to get close, I dare you to click the link in my bio and also get on the Gift Insider email list, where each week, okay, every Sunday, Monday, I'm sending out emails covering 4 areas, which is an acronym for GIFT: growing in your purpose, growing in your gifts, inspiring those you're called to lead, fulfilling God's plans, and then transforming lives. So we're talking about this around the clock, okay? We're talking about this everywhere, in a group, in the emails, on the lives, okay? Whatever you need help with in this arena, I'm here to help you to achieve it. D'Angelo James said, yeah, had to support tap 35K for you. Yo, I promise you, I appreciate that. I think them tappers be tapping so fast that it don't catch up. It don't catch up fast. It don't reflect that number on my side. So I'm not so sure if it just so fast, it just doesn't catch it all. But nevertheless, thank you. Because I talk about getting one of them too, because so many people talk about, but I did realize this is the second time. Screenshot it for me and send it. Let me screenshot it. Oop. Lord, hold on, y'all. Okay, sorry about that. I was trying to screenshot it. Okay, there it is. I screenshot mine so I can show you. All right, y'all. But nevertheless, this is going to be available for replay over on YouTube after it done doing processing and I make it public. You'll be able to go back and check out the replay if you didn't make it for the whole live and you want to catch it from the beginning. And then for those of you on TikTok, I am going to be downloading this and adding the replay to a folder that will be accessible inside of the 𝗪𝗪𝗧 Academy. You can just click the link in my bio first button to join the group, and you'll have access to the workbook and the replays for all 8 weeks. Okay, 3 replays are already in there, and I'll be adding this one to it as soon as it's able to process, download, and then upload. Okay, it take a little time to process, then we got to download, then upload. All right, y'all. Listen, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much for hanging out. I don't know when else I'm going to go live this week, but I know I'm going to be live again before next Wednesday for sure. We're trying to increase the lives. I ain't gonna lie, I have not grown to every day. Okay, maybe one day. With these 6 kids back here, sometimes it's challenging. Okay. Sometimes it's challenging, but we are increasing the amount of live that we do. So nevertheless, make sure you turn on the post notifications so you just know. All right, y'all, have an amazing day because you get to, hopefully because you want to, and I'll check back in. And remember these 2 things. Number 1, you are gifted to lead. You are gifted to lead. You are gifted to lead. And number 2, you've got the keys. And this community keys represents 4 things. You have the power of God within that helps you to do what? Know, embrace, yield, and serve. Okay? Have an amazing day, and I will check back in. Bye. Have a good evening, and happy Wednesday. Okay, YouTube family, thank you so much for being here as well. I appreciate you so much. Y'all, also, if you have any additional questions, any additional thoughts, things you want to talk through, I'm here for you. Okay? I'm that one. I'm your biggest fan, and I love to talk. Angel C will definitely let you know. Okay? If you need someone or a place to really just talk about some things concerning your purpose and gifts, definitely make sure that you connect and go to the community tab and make sure that you can drop your questions there as well. All right, you all have a good night.